This is Dubs OT with John Dickinson on KNBR 104.5 and 6.8, streaming live at twitch.tv/thesportsleader.
So the Pacers, it's a weird streak, but 5 trips to chase, undefeated, and now you're going to have Chris Paul ejected. Second tee and tossed. There's 6 seconds left in the game. Coach Curley's going, wait, what? Frustration. The errors come out of the balloon. The home losses have zapped some momentum. Got to re-find it. Long road trip. Opportunity missed, and you credit the Pacers with Tyrese Haliburton leading the way with 26 points and 11 assists. Indiana is no joke. The way they get up and down, they owned it.
Long road trip and a long intro to Dubs OT here on KNBR, the sports leader tonight. Fitz and Kalena telling you everything about this game in the final minute there as the Pacers come in to chase, and they beat the Warriors 123-111. That is the final. Warriors with a 1-2 homestand continue to be extremely disappointing on the home floor. And it's time to start having a conversation about keeping the Houston Rockets out of the 10 spot in the play-in tournament as the Warriors just cannot get any momentum going. Pacers take it to them. Warriors started hot, but Indiana's a team that will put up some points. And the question of this one going in was, could the Warriors keep up? And as the Warriors got off to a really hot start and put up 38 points in the first quarter, it became, can they maintain that? Because the Pacers got their 38. And the Pacers, to me, as this game got going, looked like a team that was just very much in their comfort zone, even though they maybe weren't hitting shots at a high rate or had a few shots rim out, or that the Warriors were just astronomically hot to begin this game. And so it just, you wondered if the Warriors started to not have shots fall at the level that they were falling at the beginning, if they started turning the basketball over, that this thing could get pretty ugly, because Indiana basically on a night in, night out basis, they score 120, 122 points in the ball games, and that's exactly what they end up doing tonight. 123 for Indiana, 111 for the Warriors, and the Warriors in this one with, just about as ugly a stretch of basketball toward the end of the third quarter and the beginning of the fourth quarter as they've played at any point this season. Bad shots, missed shots, turnovers, not getting back on defense, just being disorganized completely. The Pacers, while they do give up a lot of points, there's one thing the Pacers do have that poses problems for a team like the Warriors, and that is length on the interior. They try to run teams off the three-point line the best they can. Warriors were hot from three early in this one, but they try to get you into the paint, and they try to block your shot in the paint. And the Warriors really bothered by the length of the Pacers on the interior. Miles Turner with a night where he turned a bunch of shots away, 5 blocks, and a bunch more altered. And as the game went on, the Pacers found that comfort zone. Warriors couldn't stop them. And then the Warriors, again, after the really hot start, you start looking through this one, only 21 in the third and 23 in the fourth. So 44 for Golden State in the second half after the 67-point first half and the 38-point first quarter. And it all adds up to another loss. Win number 40 for Indiana. Warriors now 36 and 33, and again under 500 at home at 18 and 19. So 808 KNBR is the number to give me a call or shoot me a text here, as we are live from Harmonic Brewing. Cheers. We got Julia in the house tonight, closing up shop here out at Harmonic, and just another disheartening game for the Warriors, as it was really another game against a good team. Pacers come in 6th in the Eastern Conference, have an identity, put up a lot of points, and this is another, I think, game where the Warriors fall flat against a good team, and fall flat against a good team inside Chase Center. Rough night all around as this thing went on, but a really rough night for Jonathan Kuminga. Probably the worst night of Kuminga's season. Definitely the worst game that he's played since really emerging over the last 2+ months as the Warriors' legitimate number 2 option. And the Pacers did a nice job walling off the interior. Miles Turner turned him away a couple of times. And I think tonight was a night where Kuminga becoming so comfortable with his jumper, and he was 8 for 13 in his last 13 from three-point range. The mid-range jumper, the pull-up jumpers were all starting to look a lot better of late. And the Pacers took away a lot of the stuff at the rim and turned him away a little bit. And as we talk about a lot on this program, Kuminga is very comfortable shooting the mid-range and shooting the three. And he was not hitting from three tonight or really in the mid-range tonight. And he was getting challenged in the paint. And it looked early like the Warriors were going to have enough other scoring. At one point, everybody for the Warriors who had played had scored except for Kuminga, and the Warriors were up 8, up 12 shortly after that. But again, late second quarter and third quarter completely flips this game. Warriors got bit at the end of quarter number 2, ran a horrible. Kuminga at that point was 1 for 7. I thought it was a bad play call. It was poor execution with the Warriors up 4 after they'd let the 12-point lead get trimmed by 8 down to 4. And they ran an ISO for Kuminga out top. And he fiddle-faddled with the dribble out high, didn't really know what he wanted to do, then just kicked it to Curry, ditched it to Curry, who miraculously made something out of nothing, nearly hitting a circus shot. But then the miss led to Tyrese Haliburton burning the Warriors for a buzzer-beating 3, and the Warriors were up 1 from 12 at the half. And Haliburton burned him again into the third quarter with a buzzer-beating 3, and it capped what was just, again, as ugly a stretch of basketball, 36-21 Pacers in that third quarter. But Golden State really, it was ugly. It was some of the worst ball. 11-0 Indiana run after the Warriors had gotten down and then had started to come back. Stephen Curry hit a 3. But just kind of an all-systems fail in the third quarter for the Warriors and in the second half for the Warriors. And, they made a little bit of a run, but once you let Indiana get going at the level that Indiana was going, they're a hard team to slow down. And so, it becomes a tough situation. And, now you look up at the standings, and I don't want to single out Kuminga. Wiggins did not play well tonight. Draymond Green looked lethargic tonight. Stephen Curry ends up 9 for 24 and 6 of 18 from three-point range after a hot start. It looked in part like the Warriors would overcome Kuminga's rough night because Podziemski was scoring early. Klay Thompson was out of his mind early. Everybody, though, basically cooled off. And the Warriors at one point were around, they had made 10 threes and were basically around 50%. It was about 10 to 22, 10 to 23. I think they were 10 to 25 at the half. They were 4 for 24 in the second half from three-point range. So they cool off from 3. The Pacers just keep kind of playing their game with the offensive flow and the momentum. And the Warriors just, with as ugly a third quarter as you'll see, wind up losing this one. 123 to 111. Story the third quarter, story the second half. 57 for the Pacers and 44 for the Warriors. Moses Moody, really rough Moses Moody minutes in this one tonight, including a stretch where he took a 3. He missed 3 threes in a real short stretch that were all woefully short. And the Pacers were not really respecting him out there at all. Like, you know what, make a couple threes. He couldn't do it. And he was willingly taking them. Just a lack of awareness, I thought, tonight from some of the Warriors in terms of shot selection as the game went on. I thought, Indiana's kind of like Sacramento in that they bait you into taking bad shots and believing that you can keep up. And the moment you start missing or turning the ball over, they hit you in waves with a big run because their offense does not slow down. And the Warriors got consumed by all of that in this loss tonight. So if you want to join the conversation, 808 KNBR is the phone number. It is Dubs OT with John Dickinson here on The Sports Leader, 415-808-5627 to give me a call or shoot me a text as the Warriors now find themselves with momentum stalled, dropping 2 of the 3 on the homestand, and now finding themselves back to 36-33 on the season. So a game back of the Lakers for 9th. They are now 4 games back of Sacramento. Sacramento lost to Washington last night and went from 6th to 8th because Dallas and Phoenix both got wins. And so the Warriors, though, 8th is done. 8th is over for the Warriors. The Warriors have been unofficially eliminated from being able to get the 8th spot. That's going to be a Dubs OT just marker right now. Like, we're done talking about the 8th spot in the Western Conference here on March the 22nd. Warriors still a game back of the Lakers. Lakers at 37-32. And again, the Warriors and Lakers going to play April 9th in LA. They could be playing for home court advantage in the 9-10 play-in game, but now they're also trying to stave off the Rockets, who have won 7 in a row, are 34-35, and suddenly just 2 games back of Golden State for the final play-in tournament spot. And these 2 teams play again on April the 4th, a week from last night in Houston. Good news for the Warriors. They have the tiebreaker over the Rockets. They've already won the season series against Houston. And as we've talked about at different points on this show, the Warriors haven't lost to the Rockets since before COVID. So they've been a good matchup and a team that the Warriors have basically owned like no other, even, basically at the stretch end run there of the James Harden era with Houston. So Houston now is closer to the Warriors than the Warriors are to 8th. And it's almost as close within a game of where the Warriors are to 9th. So I think we're figuring some things out about this team. We're putting some things to bed as far as this team goes, and just a frustrating homestand. 2 more good teams. Warriors face 2 good teams. This is even in the hot stretch where the Warriors have more wins in the NBA than any team, or the 3rd most wins among all teams since January the 30th with 17 wins. 17 wins is the 3rd most in the NBA since January 30th. But only the Celtics and Magic have more. But the Warriors have not beaten good teams during that stretch. In fact, every single one of their losses, with the exception of really the Lakers and the Bucks within the last week, they've dropped every single other game that they've faced against a good team, whether it be the Lakers or the Kings or the Nuggets or the Celtics or the Knicks, who they did split with. Indiana, they split with over this stretch, but losing to both of those teams at home after they were able to win road games against them there at both the beginning and the end of February. And the Warriors just continuing to show that, for all of the positivity and the good things that they've been able to find on the road and the new combinations of what this team is, the Pacers found another gear tonight. And the good teams, for the most part, have been able to find a gear against the Warriors that the Warriors can't match. And Indiana did that, and it winds up leading to another loss here for Golden State as they find themselves now 36 and 33. Like I said, time to start talking about just making the play-in. Warriors are also looking a little tired. That was another observation from this one tonight. 4th game in 7 nights, and it's a good time to remind everybody, as Harmonic Brewing continues to fill up here in Thrive City, it's a good time to remind everybody that the Warriors are playing every other day or a back-to-back between now and the end of the regular season. That Draymond looked a little banged up. This back soreness thing is bothering him. I think the Warriors just did not look spry after about the first 6 to 8 minutes of this one. They looked a little sluggish tonight as the game went on. And again, I think Indiana makes you do that because they just are relentless with their pace. They're relentless with their pressure on making you defend and get you into actions. And I think over a 48-minute, again, they're a little like Sacramento, where they kind of wear you down and become a team that you can't keep up with, even though you think you can keep up with them. Miles Turner, excellent tonight. Pascal Siakam. Remember when we had the whole Pascal Siakam conversation before the deadline about, what does he bring to the table? Would he be somebody the Warriors should be interested in? 25, 16, 6 assists in this one for Pascal Siakam. Able to defend on the perimeter, able to score on the interior, and just a really freaking good player. That I know there were reports that he maybe didn't want to come to the Warriors, maybe didn't want to come to Sacramento. Warriors weren't really a match because at the time that the trade deadline came, Jonathan Kuminga really was probably the only player that the Warriors could even consider trading for Siakam. But he was starting to come on and play at the level that he had been over these last couple of months. So he was somebody that the Warriors didn't feel they wanted to include in that kind of deal. And I don't even think his value was high enough, frankly, to garner Siakam at that point in Toronto's eyes. So before everything really got hot and heavy, Siakam was sent to Indiana, and Siakam always tends to have his best games against the Warriors, even going back to the 2019 finals and prior to that. And he was spectacular tonight. Tyrese Haliburton's a freaking dude. Tyrese Haliburton controlled the game tonight. The Warriors had no answer for Tyrese Haliburton. Plus 24, hands down, the best plus minus and player on the floor tonight for anybody, whether it was the Warriors or the Pacers. But he just controlled the game. 11 assists. He had 4 steals. I mean, there were times where the Pacers are in the passing lanes. Haliburton blocked Curry's jump shot tonight. Miles Turner blocked Curry's jump shot tonight. I mean, the Pacers, again, don't really defend at a great rate, but they have more players that give the Warriors fits than over the 48 minutes the Warriors had that were going to slow down anything that Indiana had going. So 808 KNBR is the number. It is Dubs OT with JD, John Dickinson here on the Sports Leader on a wet and rainy Friday night. Thrive City, got a lot of people inside Harmonic Brewing tonight trying to get out of the rain, having a brew. We bring in Greg Silver for the first time here on Dubs OT. Greg, first of all, how are you tonight, number one? And number two, is there anything that I missed in the opening monologue here before we dive into the YouTube chat and get to some of the text messages and maybe a couple of calls? Anything I missed among the headlines from this one? The second half was the kind of half, and the third quarter in particular, the kind of quarter that will make you freaking angry if you're a Warriors fan. There was a lot of anger in the crowd tonight over at Chase.
Yeah, what's up, everybody? Good evening / night to you too, JD. And I don't know if you missed anything that was key. I would say, as my primary thought, I don't think that energy was an issue tonight like it's been for some of these other underwhelming home games. I thought they actually came out with good energy and good pace. They seemed ready to meet Indiana's style of play. They just couldn't sustain it. And the frustration wasn't that they showed up sleepwalking to Chase Center. The frustration was more that 6-minute stretch in the third quarter, to your point, was some of the worst basketball we've seen. They fully unraveled. We've watched a lot of March Madness over the past 2 days, and you've seen some teams you think are better on paper just fully unravel at the worst times. And the Warriors, just kind of the story of their season is when they dig a hole sometimes, and more often than not, it's the size of a hole that is too big to climb your way out of. And they had a nice little run to start the fourth when there was no Haliburton and no Siakam. But end of the day, you kind of made your own bed, and it was a mess that was just too big to overcome.
Yeah, too big to overcome despite the start. And I agree with you. I thought they had energy early. It wasn't the did the Warriors bring the level that they needed to bring into the game? It's not that kind of energy. That I think they were on point with that kind of energy. I just think as the game went on, and because the Pacers put the pressure that they do on you to keep up with their scoring prowess, and again, I think athletically the Pacers posed some problems for the Warriors, especially on the interior, Siakam and obviously Miles Turner. But out of this, as the game went on, the Warriors looked just physically tired. And Draymond looked a little banged up. And again, it's kind of an alarming thing, I think, for as rapid fire as these games are going to continue to come here and have over the last week. 4th and 7 nights, and then they're going Sunday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday, again before they're back home a week from Tuesday on April 2nd. And then they're right back out on the road halfway across the country for the huge game looming now against Houston and Dallas before coming right back. And then they have one home game and go back on the road again, albeit to Los Angeles and Portland before the final two are over at the Chase Center Hardwood. So, yeah, I thought they just looked like a team that over the long haul just couldn't keep up on either end of the floor. All right, 808 KNBR. Let's go ahead and pause here. Greg's initial thoughts. We appreciate that. We'll come back. We'll set up our question of the night, and we'll get to the calls. We'll get into the YouTube chat. Ugly second half. Really ugly third quarter for the Warriors. It's Dubs OT with JD on KNBR 104.5 and 680, the sports leader.
From Chef Curry to CP3, we're repping the Bays team. Dubs OT with John Dickinson now continues. Streaming live on YouTube at KNBR 1045.
3.3. Haliburton, high arcing three, and he did it again. He did it again. I shouldn't have said that. Ended the second with the three, ended the third with the three. Indiana behind their star. They build the large lead. Something about the Pacers at Chase Center, it's not good.
Yeah, Tyrese Haliburton got him twice into the half, into the third quarter. Warriors down after three, 102-88. And they end up losing this one to the Pacers tonight. 123-111 is the final. 808 KNBR, the number to give me a call or shoot me a text. We do have a couple of lines open here. We'll keep this thing rolling at least until 11 o'clock tonight, as it is Dubs OT with JD from Harmonic Brewing in Thrive City. And there is a great crowd on hand here tonight at Harmonic Brewing. Really appreciate everybody who is out here trying to stay away from the rain, trying to watch a little of the tournament. As well as things wind down on the first round of the tournament. Yeah, we got St. Mary's obviously going at it right now in one of the final games, probably the final game of the night as far as the tournament goes and round one goes. But, yeah, if you want to weigh in on some dubs, we'll get into the YouTube chat coming up here. Our question of the night is coming up as well, as we will get back to Greg Silver in our San Francisco studios. But Tyrese Haliburton, just special. I know those of you that have followed me for a long time and, you know, going back to that 2020 draft, Tyrese Haliburton is a dude that I would have taken. He was fourth on my board after Edwards and Wiseman. And by the way, James Wiseman, low-key had a nice night tonight. 24 points for James Wiseman tonight. Since we're talking about the 2020 draft, Detroit got smoked by the Celtics, but Wiseman had 24 points, 9 boards, 4 assists on 11 to 13 shooting. Shout out to James Wiseman in 37 minutes, but they got smoked by 27 at home to the Boston Celtics. But yeah, those of you that have followed me in my previous radio life, I loved Tyrese Haliburton coming out of Iowa State. And no, I didn't have him ahead of LaMelo or Edwards or James Wiseman, but I was a proponent at the time, Greg. And again, I'm not doing the Johnny pat myself on the back, but I was a proponent at the time of the rumor, which was you trade back to 4, get Wendell Carter Jr., and draft Tyrese Haliburton at number 4. And because I thought he was the next best guy, and obviously he's proven to be maybe the best of everybody, not named Anthony Edwards in that draft, although we're probably going to be having a conversation about Edwards or Haliburton here over the next couple of years, because Haliburton is turning himself into a superstar. And I know it's been kind of a mutually beneficial trade between Indiana and Sacramento. Sacramento got Sabonis. Sabonis unlocked Fox. They made the playoffs last year, obviously. The Pacers are still trying to be a good team for the first time with Tyrese Haliburton, and this will be the first year of that. But it looks like Haliburton's ceiling is going to be off the charts, Greg. All right. I guess we don't have Greg. All right. 808 KNBR is the number. Dubs
Hey,
OT
JD,
with
sorry
JD.
about that. Was just chatting with one of our great listeners for a second. So,
Oh no, all good. It happens, and again, this is tonight. We are dealing with some technical difficulty. Oh, we got you on this. We got you there.
yeah, a little bit. It's a laptop camera.
Okay, I thought. See, I was like, well, we don't have you on the, and I had clicked off because I'm like, well, we don't have you on the. I can't see you. Sometimes I like to keep an eye on you to tell if I can bring you into the conversation or not. But
No,
but yeah,
totally
Haliburton
fair.
is,
If anyone's wondering who this third
dude.
person is, by the way, it's our sound.
Okay,
Yeah,
wonderful.
It's our board.
Wonderful. That's awesome. Appreciate that. So yeah, Haliburton, man. I mean, just unbelievable. I was pretty high on him in the draft. Like I said, I was a proponent of the, that Wendell Carter rumor where the Warriors trade to 4, and then you can basically pick who you want at number 4 after LaMelo and after Wiseman and after Anthony Edwards. Warriors didn't go down that route. Obviously, James Wiseman turned out to be, for them at least, a whiff of a pick and a bust. For them, a bust. Again, Wiseman may go on to have a career, although unfortunately it does look like Wiseman is going to be a bust. But I just love Haliburton's game was the main point. And, it's working out for Indiana. It's worked out for Sacramento. But Haliburton's got a really, 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 really high ceiling, and we saw some of the best of him tonight, just as far as controlling the game goes.
Yeah, there's no doubt that he was the best player on the floor. That doesn't mean that Steph Curry is not an overall better player than him, but Tyrese Haliburton was just the guy tonight, dominating everything. I think he was plus 23 heading into the fourth quarter, which is just a really impressive mark. And then I don't know what he finished with on the plus minus. I actually got the score in front of me, but the Warriors made that mini run without him to start. Yeah, he finished plus 25, so stayed pretty even there in the fourth. So, and then the 2 threes he hit, the buzzer beaters. I mean, a little bit of luck goes into it, but also pretty damn good shots too. So, not a ton to complain about with Haliburton in his game. I mean, at some point you do just got to tip your hat to the guy.
Yeah, he's spectacular. And, I know there was a little back and forth in the chat about Haliburton that I was checking out as far as, who won the trade. I guess there was a guy that was saying that, he had a buddy that's a Kings fan, and they're going back and forth as far as who won that trade. But I think it's worked out for both. But I will say this. I think Haliburton is going to wind up being a better player. He's on that trajectory. Injuries could derail it, and he has had some injury issues. But Haliburton is on the trajectory, I think, to be a better player than Fox potentially and Sabonis in terms of a guy that you can build around. And that's saying something because Sabonis has been unbelievable as far as, double-doubles and impact. And, I mean, he's been the Kings' best player the last couple of years. And it allowed them to unlock Fox, which allowed them to have a 1-2 punch and then build around that and become the team that they became last year and this year, which is going to be, it could be a playoff team for consecutive years. But, I think Haliburton is going to wind up being the best player in that trade when it's all said and done, and the careers of all three are all said and done. So 808 KNBR, let's get to Connor in Dublin next here on the Sports Leader. Hey, Connor.
Hey, JD. How are you tonight?
I'm doing all right tonight, man. Just staying out of the rain, trying to see if St. Mary's can make a run. It looks like they're not going to. And just trying to figure out why the Warriors are so bad at home, Connor.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I support St. Mary's, but I'm a San Diego State guy. Grew up in San Diego. So I'm a big fan of the Aztecs. So,
That's okay. That's okay. They're a great story. They figured it out. Yeah,
I can make up for it for the love for the Warriors because I have a very deep love for the Warriors, and even as a big fan of them, I'm having doubts of them reaching the 8th seed at this point. I mean, if you're relying so much, like a team that has like very good chemistry and doesn't have to rely often on one player to get things done, and when I look at the Warriors, I don't see that. I see that most of their strength is with Steph Curry. And when Steph Curry's out of the game, I mean, we just last season, I think they did pretty good without Curry. They were, what was the record again?
They were 14-12 without Curry last year, and a lot of that was Jordan Poole.
Doing so good without him.
As maligned as Jordan Poole was, and deservedly so, he did fill up the score sheet when Curry was out, and it allowed them to play a similar game. They also had a lot of home games against bad teams. And last year, Connor, home games against bad teams were automatic wins. This year, not so much. But, yeah, that's the one area where they have been a little more vulnerable.
Yeah, and I think there was this cool stat. Trace Jackson Davis and Brandon Podziemski are like the first two rookies to grab 10-plus rebounds in one game since 2000, I believe. So we obviously have some very valuable rookies with us, and we have some decent players. But yeah, in my opinion, it's I don't think it's enough. We need height. We need somebody who's big. We need a big man in our center. For a center, we need a 7-footer, and I think that's what the Warriors really need to get right now.
Well, it's frustrating, Connor, and thank you for the call, because if the Warriors need a center, then and we talk about this seemingly every night. We definitely every night that they lose, we talk about this. If you're adding a center, then Draymond's got to play the 4 or not be on the team anymore, which isn't going to happen. And then what does it do to Kuminga? Because Kuminga is not a 3. The Warriors do not believe Kuminga is a 3. So there is not a world right now where you have a center and you have Draymond and you have Kuminga, and Kuminga is effective at the level that he's been effective these last 2 months, and all 3 of them are on the floor together. And tonight kind of tells you why. Kuminga needs to add a consistent ability to knock down an outside shot. Otherwise, teams, especially as he gets – if the Warriors are truly committed to making him their number 2 option, that means he's going to start bumping up on scouting reports. And that means teams are really going to try to be physical with him in terms of not letting him get to the paint, force him to shoot jumpers more on their terms than on his terms, and essentially try to make him a volume shooter to get his points. And there is a gray area there with Kuminga where you can make him do that because, as we've talked about a lot, he thinks he is that guy. Tonight, the guy who Kuminga thinks he is burned the Warriors because he was comfortable shooting jumpers. He was getting walled off and stopped at the rim. He wanted to take a couple of dribbles and try to create, and threw it out of bounds or turned it over or whatever. Again, it's one bad night. In the grand scheme of things, who cares in terms of his development? Like, I'm not coming down his road like it was, some catastrophic night, but it does tell you part of the learning and growth picture with Kuminga against a team that I think Rick Carlisle looked at the Warriors and said, hey, we got to contain Steph, obviously, and Kuminga's been their number 2 for the last 2 months. We're going to try to muck with him and get him off his mark and see how the Warriors react to that. Now, early, it didn't matter because everybody else was scoring and Clay was hot and Podziemski was getting into it, and they got Wiggins rolling early, although Wiggins basically stunk offensively after the first 3-4 plays of the game. But they took away the Warriors' number 2 option tonight, and they made Steph Curry work. And over the long haul, that was good enough with the Pacers playing at their normal offensive level to put the game on cruise control and ultimately win it 123 to 111. So 808 KNBR, if you want to join the conversation, 415-808-5627. Via the text line or via the phone lines as well. We do have some text messages to get to out here at Harmonic Brewing. JD, I've noticed this in close games or into quarters. There's a lot of force feeding JK and just standing around to watch other players. What are your thoughts and analysis? It feels counter to the movement offense. Well, you bring up a good point, and I railed on the end of the first half. I thought that was the worst freaking set, only because Kuminga had been so poor off it. Kuminga was one for 8, and the Warriors just decided into the half they were going to give it to him at the top of the key and let him cook. When he was 1 for 8, now if he had been 6 for 8, And in a rhythm, I would have understood that. But they basically said, Kuminga's going to make the play. And I hated it. And Kuminga put it on the deck and didn't know what to do. And then the clock ran down and he kind of panicked. And you know what he did? He said, you know what? I'm giving it to Steph. Hey, I'm ditching it to you. Steph, you take it. And then Steph almost made something out of nothing. But Kuminga, in the execution of the play, again, poor, in my opinion. You want to talk about poor coaching, which fans want to rail at this and that with Steve Kerr. I thought that was poor coaching. If that was a play that was called to be run in that particular situation. But what it is, he plays in the big, that was the micro of it. It was poor play call, bad execution. Curry nearly bails them out, but they commit the ultimate sin, which is allow the Pacers a shot in the closing seconds, and Haliburton burned their ass. And they deserve to get their ass burned for that. That was some basketball karma that the Warriors, not only did they not score, but that the Pacers got 3. That's the micro. And again, he had a bad game. It happens. All part of the learning process, all part of the development. He's been one of the Warriors' best players, basically been their second best player, and some nights their best player over the better part of the last 2 months. So, again, I don't want to rail, but tonight he was bad. And it happens. Now, big picture, and this on the Golden State Lumber and Building Materials text line of the 650, as far as the isolation versus the rest of it, Kuminga doesn't truly thrive in the offense that the Warriors have run that's made them so special. So they are going to have to pick their spots with him now as the number 2 to put him in positions where he's a little bit more comfortable. And in fairness to him, he has been much better in not maybe into quarter when everybody's geared up to stop him, but he has been in some of the short post, quickly face the bucket 15 feet out at ISOing and being able to get by his man, get to the bucket, or draw a foul. So in that, but what they did at the end of the half, giving it to him at 25 feet, and I just remember Draymond, brought it up and just flipped it to him and was like, "Go to work, young fella." And I'm thinking, wow, when he's 1 for 8, like that's not the answer. And it burned the Warriors in the worst way. But they have to figure out the ways to get him involved in ways that he's comfortable and effective, because he can't be a high volume real shooter or scorer unless they do a little of the ISO, right? He's going to be a consistent 13 to 16 if it's just in the context of the Warriors offense and cuts and short drives and defense turning into offense, transition. Like he can be a 13 to 16 point a game guy just doing that, and he can do it extremely efficiently. But the Warriors have needed more than that, and the only way you get more than that is if you ISO him a little bit. 408 Golden State Lumber and Building Materials text line, and isolating him on that front makes you more vulnerable to having to take some of the bad with the good. But again, as I've said, there's been a lot more good than bad, especially of late. And he's even been hitting jumpers of late. 8 of 13 from 3 coming into this one. The mid-ranges look good. 408 chimes in, too small, too slow, too old. It's over. Well, they are not contenders. That we know. I think that everybody knows, right? Steve Kerr came out at the end of the season last year and said, this was not a championship caliber team. I think we know this is not a championship caliber team on March 22nd. We're not going to have to wait till May 12th. And to be perfectly honest, the Warriors are probably not playing until May 12th. So we're not going to have to wait that long for them to even admit it if they haven't already internally. Warriors showed some of their age tonight. This is from the 831 on the Golden State Lumber and Building Materials text line against a very quick and disciplined team. Yeah, the Pacers have the way that they play, and they stick with it. They're not great defensively, but they put pressure on you to keep up with them offensively. And in comparison to the Warriors, the Pacers are a much more athletic and youthful, and Rick Carlisle's got them moving the ball, and it was just really, really, really beautiful basketball, frankly, when they got going. They had 31 assists with 11 turnovers in this one. The Warriors ended up with only 24 assists and 14 turnovers. So that, I think, among the more telling notes from this one as the Warriors get beat. 6-5-0, JD. I don't know if the Warriors win again until the Charlotte game. Very disappointing. Well, you better hope they win before the Charlotte game, because that game's a week from tonight, and they got 3 games in between tonight and that game. And if they don't win until the Charlotte game, then we're going to be having a real legitimate conversation as far as forget about 9, and I think 8 is done, by the way. Connor kind of brought that up on the phone lines, and I'd already addressed it a little bit. 8's done. Warriors ain't getting 8. They're 4 back. And they don't have a tiebreaker over Phoenix or the Kings or whoever. They're not going to have the tiebreaker. So it's over. That is over. Over. Done. Not happening. You lose to Minnesota, Miami, and Orlando, which wouldn't be hard to believe that the Warriors would lose to all 3, although the Warriors are a much better basketball team on the road. But, I mean, Orlando's 42 and freaking 28. Orlando's playing 600 ball right now. Miami's got a better record than the Warriors, 38 and 32. And Minnesota's about to win 50 games. They'll come in at 48 and 22 when they play at Target Center on Sunday afternoon. So, yeah, it would not be a stretch to think that the Warriors may not win a game until a week from tonight when they're in Charlotte against the 17 and 52 Charlotte Hornets. But if they do, I mean, look out. Look out. And that's where I think now it's, they are playing for the 10 seed as much as they are playing for the 9 seed at this particular point in time. And I'm looking at what's coming up for Houston. Greg, have you seen who Houston's got in the next?
I haven't even put myself through that.
And again, it's fun playing this game because every time we play this game, a team will slip up. Houston's next 2 games are against Utah and Portland at home. So,
and they're good at home.
And the Rockets are much better than the Warriors are at home, as we laid out a couple of nights ago here on Dubs OT with JD on KNBR, the sports leader. How good are the Rockets at home? They're 24 and 11. 24 and 11. The Warriors would kill to be 24 and 11. The Warriors, if the Warriors were 24 and 11 at home, oh my God, if the Warriors were 24 and 11 at home, they'd be the 5 seed in the Western Conference right now. If they were 24 and 11 at home. And by the way, that would be 3 games worse than they were last year for the entire season on the home floor. The Warriors would love to be 24 and 11 at home. Holy crap. Yeah, the Rockets are really good at home. And the Warriors did beat them there back in late October, I think. It was early in the season. And they've owned the Rockets. Yeah, Tim Kawakami put it out there on Twitter. He said, hey, the April 4th game might be for the 10 seed in the play-in tournament. And so, yeah, we could look up, believe it or not, and Greg, I don't want to put you through the ringer, but we could look up after the Warriors play Sunday and the Warriors play Tuesday, and the Warriors are in a dead tie with the Rockets for the 10th spot in the Western Conference play-in race. Because Houston plays tomorrow, Monday. The Warriors play Sunday, Tuesday. Close of business Tuesday. It could be 36 and 35, 36 and 35. Boom. Bing, bang, boom.
Yeah, I mean, that's a reality. It is certainly a reality that you have to confront when the team performs this inconsistently. Speaking of inconsistency, we never got around to officially doing a question of the night. Shall we get to that?
Let's get to it. Do you have the proper phrasing?
I do. I think
Okay.
I do, at least. Because
Then I am gonna hand it off to you, and we're gonna pause and come back. But we'll hand it off to you right now before the break to give the people a good 4 or 5 minutes here to join the conversation and be able to weigh in.
So what I'm thinking for our question of the night, because we've asked a lot of questions about, can the Warriors win a playoff series? And what does this mean? I think we kind of know what this means. It means they're the 10 seed. What we're thinking is, after many years of a strong home court advantage, what do you think best explains the Warriors' home this season? And it was hard to come up with some multiple choices because I don't really know the answer. Too relaxed. We have the fans are too relaxed. We have opponents simply do not fear them. And then we have others / help us solve this. JD, what are your thoughts on those options, and where would your vote go?
I'm gonna admit something to you right here. I didn't hear all of the options, but there's a good reason I didn't hear all the options. And no, it was not a technical difficulty. I just happened to be scrolling through some of the post-game stuff, and I know you're preparing Sounds of Silver, but I need yes or no. We don't have to belabor it, and then we'll reset the question of the night. Chris Paul called Tony Brothers a TikToker.
That was about the only really solid lock for a Sounds of Silver tonight.
Chris Paul called Tony Brothers a TikToker. Holy cannoli, as Klay Thompson once famously said. That's coming up in Sounds of Silver. So you're going to want to stay locked in for that one here on Dubs OT tonight on KNBR. All right, our question of the night, and I'll give you my thoughts on this, as you so eloquently laid out. Many years of home court advantage, including last year, 33-8, and the Warriors last year had a better home record than they did in either of the final 2 years at Oracle, by the way. After many years of home court advantage, what do you think best explains the Warriors' poor performance at home this season? Players too relaxed, fans too relaxed, opponents don't fear them, other / help solve this. I'm going to weigh in, and I have voted. It's players too relaxed. Players too relaxed gets my vote. What gets your vote tonight, Greg?
I would take my vote at opponents don't fear them, but I think that players being
it's a good one.
I think players being too relaxed is the catalyst for it. Like, I think that's why they get punched in the mouth, but I think that the punch is the lack of fear from opponents, and I think the reason they get punched so hard is because the players are too relaxed. So, like, a little bit of a two-layer here.
I just did a split decision. I just voted players too relaxed on Twitter and opponents don't fear them on Threads. How about that?
Well played. Well played.
Is that going to get me kicked off my own show?
No way.
Here on a Friday night.
Hey, you're just playing the game.
Go ahead and, let's take a quick timeout. Warriors lose to the Pacers, 123-111. 808 KNBR is the number. We still have a couple of phone lines open. We got a lot of text messages to get to. The text line's been pretty heavy duty. We haven't really gotten into the YouTube chat, but I know there's a spirited debate going on there, as there always is. As this is Dubs OT with JD, KNBR 104.5 and 680, the sports leader.
Did you hear something?
Yeah, like a swoosh.
Yeah.
Dubs OT presents the sounds of silver. Streaming live on YouTube at KNBR 1045.
All right, back here at Harmonic Brewing in Thrive City. 808 KNBR is the number. Dubs OT with JD, John Dickinson. Warriors lose to the Pacers. 123-111 is the final. We bring back in Greg Silver here for Sounds of Silver on the Sports Leader. Tough night for the Dubs. 18-19 now on the home floor. Just not good enough by any stretch with 4 games to go at home. So the best the Warriors can do if they were to go 4-0, and there's no reason to believe that they will go 4-0, but if they are able to go 4-0, the best they can do at home is 22-19, which, I mean, at this point, it looks like that would be good enough for 12th in the Western Conference in terms of overall home records. Utah and Houston both better home records than the Warriors by a significant margin. Rough night for Jonathan Kuminga. Another poor night for Andrew Wiggins, only 8 points. And the Warriors that did score and shoot the ball well early flamed out as the game went on. Too much Indiana over 4 quarters as they beat the Dubs tonight by 12. What do we got tonight as far as post-game press conferences from over in the Bill King interview room at Chase Center?
Well, just a short post game in terms of who was available, as you could probably expect, being the end of a homestand and a disappointing homestand. We will hear from the head coach of the Warriors first. I thought this was at least a nice quote. I'm glad he's sticking up for Kuminga. I know that Kerr's positivity at the podium can really frustrate people at times, which I understand the sentiment there, but I also think that if you're the head coach of a team that is struggling but still kind of has a chance in there, being overly negative publicly is not going to do anything good. So here's what Steve Kerr had to say about Jonathan Kuminga and the night that he struggled with.
I just thought JK got into a little bit of a rush, and they had Siakam on him, a lot of length at the rim, so he wasn't able to get some of the easy hoops he's been getting. Great learning experience for him. He's had such a good run, and teams are going to start putting their best guys on him. They're going to show him different looks. So it's JK has been fantastic, and love what he's done, and this is all part of his growth. So he'll watch the tape, he'll feel this one, and he'll see where he can get better, and he'll continue to grow.
That's the right answer. And yeah, the one part that we hadn't really said was the rush. I do think that he did get into a little bit of a rush. And I do think, Greg, as we've talked about, he does want to be a guy that shoots that jumper. And so, when the initial drives aren't maybe there, he has probably too much confidence in his jumper at this point. But it had been falling lately, and Siakam's an excellent defender and took it to him a little bit. But all in all, I think that is the right answer. He's been great, and he's had a great run, and it's a learning experience. Like, I don't think being over, it's one bad game. It's the worst game that he's had in 2 months. He's had a couple other bad games, but for the most part, if we're just saying, good game or bad game for Jonathan Kuminga over the last, 30 games, it's probably like 25-5. So, not a huge deal, but he's got to take from tonight and look to get better from it.
Yeah, and I know you put out on social media in the middle of the game, sometime early third, I want to say, that you actually thought Kuminga's motor and energy had been pretty solid, but he was 2 for 11, and then he had the missed dunk, and he got blocked at the rim, and it just a really tough night where, yeah, he might have been rushed, like Kerr just said. I thought it bothered him, but we're not going to harp on the kid when he has really emerged as the number 2 offensive option this year, and I think 25-5 is about right when you look at his last 30 games of good to bad. So this is Chris Paul, the next cut, and he's also talking about Kuminga. Again, supportive, saying the right thing as a veteran leader. So just get to it.
Didn't know he was 4 for 17. It's the league, man. It's 82 games. As much as we all want to be great every night, it's hard. It's hard, especially when you playing as well as he is. He's starting to be on people's scouting reports. You know what I mean? But if he's struggling or whatnot, it's up to other guys to lift him up. That's why we're a team.
Again, bingo. I couldn't have said it any better than Chris Paul did. And Chris Paul's been through it and seen it, had teammates go through it. I mean, honestly, not a big deal in the grand scheme of things tonight. Bad game. We can acknowledge that it was a bad game. Like we can all say that without having, the Twitterverse freak out. Like, I know you're comfortable with this, Greg, but can we? I know some people are gonna, oh my God, like, we can't say that. I know there's other media members that I think at times can't say it. It's okay. It doesn't mean anything in the grand scheme of things, but it's okay to look in the mirror tonight, Greg. And again, I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to others, and say, you know what? Jonathan Kuminga had a bad game tonight. He had a bad game tonight. It's okay to admit it. A little JD, voice of reason to others, whether it's fans or fan media. It's okay. Deep breath. There will be another game that he'll probably play better in on Sunday.
And to be fair to Kuminga, he was kind of the glaring guy that didn't have a good game, in part because he was 4 for 17 and in part because he's actually been one of the more consistent Warriors on the team. He wasn't the only one. Like, Andrew Wiggins disappeared again.
Wiggins was awful.
Yeah, Moses
Wiggins
Moody was not effective whatsoever. Klay Thompson cooled off after the first half. Steph Curry didn't really have a great second half. Like, Kuminga was the glaring one, but he wasn't the guy or the one that cost them the game by any stretch.
I'll say this for the people that want Moses Moody to play every game. when Moses Moody missed the first three like a foot short and then took the next three and missed it a foot short, and then within another couple of possessions took a third three and missed a foot short, it was almost as if Moses Moody was saying, hey, for those of you in the back that wonder why I don't get regular minutes, this third three will tell you. This third one will tell you. That was, I mean, holy crap, that was bad. But, you know, again, there's people out there that think he should be, you know, playing half of Pajemski's minutes, even though Pajemski's basically in a bunch of the Warriors' best lineups, top to bottom. Even on nights where he scores 2 freaking points on 1 of 6 shooting, he's still among their best players. So, again, I actually really like Moses Moody. I don't really go in on Moses Moody ever like that, and it's not personal, but Moses Moody ain't some freaking, you know, stud, right? He's could he have played a little more at different points? Sure. But you know what? He also shows you why he doesn't always play all the time. So quick little mini rant on the conversation surrounding Moses Moody.
Yeah, I'm sure we can get into it a lot tomorrow on Just Dubs. Just a reminder, by the way, Saturday morning on YouTube, streaming Twitch, X, like we do every single week. We're going to have another Just Dubs, and we'll be right here. And it is kind of an interesting note to go into a Just Dubs on the weekend, but at the same time, it should be a blast, and we're excited. And in the meantime, we're going to polish this off with the end of Sounds of Silver and revisit our question of the night, which we brought to you before the last break. This last one is a 2-parter, and JD teased it.
Love it.
Leading into Sounds of Silver. It was about the only funny quote of the postgame all night, and Chris Paul commented on his ejection with 6 seconds left in the game, and he said that he called referee Tony Brothers a TikToker. Here's the full 27 seconds of what he had to say.
Oh, man. Oh, Tony. He's talking to me. I talk back. I called him a TikToker. And I got a tech.
That was the last one?
No, the first one. I just said TikToker. Gave me a tech.
Was there...
Second one, I just said, that's too much power. You know what I mean? He gave me another tech.
TikToker meaning...
He the judge, the jury, and all that.
And the second part of that, and Greg, you can fill in the gaps here for me. One, I think that's actually freaking hilarious. Initially, though, I don't know the context. I do know the context because Chris Paul has since explained the context. He didn't in the press conference, but he has since explained it via his own Instagram feed.
Correct. We had our guy, Raf Corral, who's always A+ work, and I had to let him off early because he's coming back at 7 a.m. I said, dude, let's get Chris Paul's Instagram story, and then I need you to GTFO this building. Chris Paul on his Instagram story, this is about 6 seconds long, so we're just going to go through it quick, but this is what he posted and what he alluded to.
I don't even really care too much for basketball. I'm the judge, the jury, prosecuting attorney, defense attorney, everybody.
Right. It kind of came full circle there.
Absolutely.
You know what? I know we in the Bay hate Chris Paul's pettiness because a lot of the times it's been directed at the Warriors. That's freaking hilarious, man.
I don't even
I'm
really
sorry
care too much for basketball. I'm the judge, the jury, prosecuting attorney, defense attorney, everybody.
Right. It kind of came full circle there.
Absolutely.
So Chris Paul posted that, which was a TikTok video of Tony Brothers doing an interview about, you know, basically I am the judge and the jury and all this other stuff now that he's an NBA official. That is, I'm sorry. I respect the Chris Paul pettiness. I respect the low-key Chris Paul quiet temper. Like, I don't know, man. Like, that speaks to me. That speaks to me, Greg. Like, I don't know that you've ever seen me like this, like smile this big on this show. That's a freaking hilarious.
I mean, here's the thing when you're working in sports, and especially with all the time I've spent in the studio with guys we've mentioned, like your Kyles, your Rafts, when you just sort through a lot of sound and you spend a lot of time in chairs and at computers, you got to just find ways to laugh sometimes. And I'm with you, man. Like, it's petty. It's been annoying for the Bay Area for most of his career. Sometimes you just got to laugh because you laugh or you cry. It's just funny. It's funny.
Yeah, that is hilarious. And I know there's been a couple of people like, oh, Chris Paul, now using the Warriors for all of his little officiating battles. It's like, you know what? Get out of here. Get out of here with that. Like, you know what? Tonight's not the night where, as a Warrior fan, you go in on Chris Paul. Like miss me with all of that, right? Like, tonight's not the night where, and this happens too often, Greg. And I apologize if I get on another little mini rant. This happens too often when things don't go well for the Warriors. Let's pick on the guy who was our villain for the last decade and a half. Let's pick on him tonight. Let's pick on Wiggins, who helped us win a championship. Nobody can say anything about Kuminga tonight. Nobody can say anything about Moody tonight. Stinking. Both of them stunk. But we're going to whine and complain about the guy that helped us win the championship is the number 2. And we're going to whine and complain about the guy who was one of our biggest villains for the last 15 years. Like, get out of here with all of that. I don't want to hear any of that tonight. As far as blaming Chris Paul or bitching about Chris Paul's bitching and complaining.
You're giving me gold to just go back and cut for these Dubs OTs. I've been gathering cuts for our morning and our daytime shows to use. Anything that I think is really insightful, any good rant, any great riff.
That wasn't that.
Let's revisit the question of the night while we still got it.
I'm going to say, you know what? I'm going to say it. Here, I'm going to give you one more.
Yeah.
I'm going to say it. Short and sweet. I like Chris Paul. There it is, Dub Nation. I said it. I like Chris Paul.
Mark it at 10:50 on a Friday night after a loss to an Indiana Pacers team. And now we got the chat chiming in, just having some good fun here on a Friday. So
Actually, no and no. This is the only one that I've had tonight. And it's empty, and there has not been a refill.
Trust me, I would tell you guys if it was going there, because I'd be able to tell at about 9:55 a.m. every Saturday. So,
yeah, no and no.
So, question of the night, revisiting on Threads. Opponents not fearing the Warriors is a huge favorite in this pool, 79%. And then the full other 21% go to the players too relaxed. So that is our numbers for the Threads feed. Then for Twitter /X, similar spread, 57% are on the opponents don't fear them train. 23% say players are too relaxed. 12% saying other and help us solve this. And then 8% is blaming it on the fans. Why aren't the fans throwing the fans under the bus? No, I am kidding. I would also put that as my last option.
Yeah, no, it's not the fans. Yeah, thank you. It's not. Yeah. It's not the fans. No, it's not. And again, Chase is not Oracle, but they won 33 games at home last year, Greg. It's not the fans. It is. I think you said it pretty well. I think too often this year it's the players are too relaxed, because I think there are games where if the Warriors come out with a little more heat than they have, then maybe opponents would fear them more in Chase Center. But they come out too relaxed. Teams get confidence as the game goes on. And then when the Warriors need a big stop down the stretch, they can't get it. And I felt like, although Indiana is a really good team, I felt like that's kind of what happened tonight. Was the Pacers were just kind of doing their thing early, and then they got confidence. They're already a really confident offensive team, and once they were rolling, it was like, all right, good luck. Like, the Warriors may be able to score, but are they going to get enough stops now that the Pacers are scoring? So I think players too relaxed and opponents don't fear them is hand in hand. And I'll even add another one in the other /help us solve this category, Greg. I think there's a little of the Warriors still get, because of Steph and because of the front of the jersey, the Warriors still get the best efforts from a lot of teams. Like the Warriors get we're playing the team that's won 4 titles in the last decade. And we want to, and now they're not quite what they were. And they used to embarrass us as a franchise. And now we got a shot to have a little get back on them. And so I think the Warriors get that effort now that they're not apt to fully be able to take it on a night in, night out basis like they used to.
I think that's completely valid to say. Draymond actually kind of alluded to that in his first game back. He was talking about guys like G.G. Jackson having a great game, and he's like, dude, I don't care if I'm going against a bunch of Hall of Famers. Like, I'm going to be fired up and be firing away shots, and I don't know what his shooting splits are, but if you're getting good looks and the defense isn't there and you're going against Hall of Famers and champions, like, yeah, of course you're going to want to go out and punch them in the mouth. So I'm with you.
It's the perfect storm. It's the perfect storm, Greg. You get the energy that comes with playing the Warriors, and then they aren't as good as they used to be. So you can have more success. And it just kind of feeds itself, I think, and snowballs into this cocktail that the Warriors often can't handle. Unfortunately for them.
Well,
All right, we are
just to interject real quick, which is I don't want to promote myself too much here, but I did do a segment with Carrie.
By all means, do it.
I did a segment with Carrie Crowley last night for Sports Phone, and this was before tonight's game, obviously, but I talked about just that, and I used the phrase worst of both worlds. Like, they're not quite good enough to go and just stomp on teams, but it's the worst of both worlds in that they still get the treatment of people get up to play them.
Totally. That's exactly what it is. Without a doubt, that's exactly what it is. And, good luck. I think that's what's led them to this path of losing a lot of these games at home, or at least being in position to lose more games at home than they have in recent memory. 808 KNBR, we still have a couple of lines open. Things are starting to wind down a little bit here at Harmonic Brewing in Thrive City. We do have more text messages to get to, the Golden State Lumber and Building Materials text line. We are going to have some fun with numbers. We'll at least try to have some fun with numbers as well. And we'll kind of tie a bow on this night. All of the regulars in the YouTube chat, all of our friends in the YouTube chat, I'm coming for you as well. I know you put a couple up on the board, but I just want to shout some people out here before we pause and come back, and then we will get exclusively after the break into the YouTube comments. And everybody joining us on YouTube and Twitch and the Twitter X stream, we appreciate you. But I want to shout out Regulator and Enrique Rivera and FL Dubs fan, Northern Cali 40831. We got Daniel Shabazz, Hannah, our favorite, Rebel to Sounds, Bill M tonight. Mickey D chiming in, rocking New Era. I mean, people here from the jump tonight, and we really appreciate everybody who's joined the conversation. G. Taylor, it's never Curry's fault, which, I mean, I get that. Joe Schmo, we love Joe Schmo. Ed Batello, Joe H. I just want to give the people some love here that have been so huge and helping to build what Dubs OT has become here on KNBR. So KM Johnson is another one. Dumpster Fire Dan, a newbie here tonight. Shout out to you as well. We'll get into some of the more specific comments coming back. So Warriors lose tonight, 123-111. Short segment coming back on the other side. We'll wrap things up from Harmonic and Thrive City. It's Dubs OT with JD on KNBR, the sports leader.
This is KNBR, and this is Dubs OT with John Dickinson, streaming live on YouTube at KNBR 1045.
Here's Steph trying to get around Siakam on the step through. Just threw it up to the rim. Haliburton a three to end the half, and he got it. Massive. And now they're within one going into halftime. The Warriors have had quarter-ending sequences throughout the year that become disheartening, and that was one of them.
That was more than disheartening. That was completely and utterly disastrous, but it began way before Steph Curry flailed one into the air. I thought the play call was one of the worst of the year, to be perfectly honest. Going ISO, Jonathan Kuminga at the top of the key. When do the Warriors ever do that, by the way? Like, when do the Warriors ever just give the ball to Jonathan Kuminga 25 feet away from the basket and say, go to work, young fella? Huh? Let alone when he's 1 for 8. Like, again, I would get it if he was 7 for 8, but he's 1 for 8. And you put that on his play. Like, I don't even blame him. Like, why would you want to go to that? And then he put it on the deck, and he was, he was thinking, oh my God, I'm Paul George, I'm Kawhi. And I'm putting it on the deck. I'm putting it, and then, oh, you know what? Actually, I don't want this smoke. Steph, bail me out. Nope. Haliburton 3. That was the moment tonight where I was like, oh, the Warriors are going to lose this game. Like, that was the moment where I was like, the Warriors are going to lose this game, and deservedly so. 123-111, by the way, the final in favor of the Pacers. Warriors have been up 12, and it was down to 1, and unless they came out and really put it on the Pacers early in the third quarter, which they did not do, then they were going to be in big trouble by virtue of the way that second quarter finished. Back here on Dubs OT with JD, final segment here on The Sports Leader. Everybody in the YouTube chat, appreciate you. Otis Bird III, didn't mention you. Douglas Mikes from the land of Hella. Everybody chiming in here tonight, including Regulator. Yeah, 2 buzzer beater threes by Haliburton. Absolutely. 2 buzzer beater threes, second and third quarters. Haliburton got him. Andis Brown, Hallie got the swag to go with that game. That's why he has superstar potential. He's got a little, and again, I want to be careful here. He's got a little of the Steph swag. He's got a little of the unassuming, kind of nerdy guy looking. People used to make fun of my shot, but now I'm hitting it from all over the court and dominating the game swag to his game. He's got a little of that to his game, right? I mean, there are a couple little comps, aren't there? Greg, correct me if I'm wrong on this. Like, I mean, people kind of made fun of Steph's shot when it came in a little bit, right? It was awkward, needs to change. Haliburton's even more so. And Haliburton's got kind of the nice guy, baby face, killer a little bit to him. Again, he's got, multiple MVPs to go. I'm not putting him in the same category, but I think personality and style and like, you know what, I'm going to show you that I actually do have a little killer and a little swag in me. I think Haliburton's got a little of that Steph to him. Crazy?
I don't hate that.
Yeah, but a long way to go. Before he's Steph. I mean, a decade or so. Like, talk to me in 2034 about Haliburton and Steph Curry. I don't want to get carried away on that front. But yeah, some other. So I agree with Andis, our friend here. in the YouTube chat. There was a back and forth going about the Warriors not having enough shooting, which is something that I've harped on a lot. The Warriors just still they don't have enough Wiggins Kuminga body types, and they don't have enough shooters. Like those two things. Everybody wants to talk about bigs, and like, you know what? They have Draymond and they have Trace Jackson Davis. They probably need a stretch big to work toward next year. Saric basically didn't work out for the most part. And the fact that he's not playing, I think, shows you that, not playing in March and April now shows you that it hasn't worked out. But more than bigs, the Warriors need shooters, and they need wing players with body types similar to Wiggins and Kuminga that can be effective and impact the game. Other teams have 4 or 5 guys, 6 guys like that. The Warriors have 2, and only one of them is a true 3-man, and that's Wiggins. And Wiggins was bad tonight. As Mickey D says, Wiggins is Wiggins. Back to Wiggins. Wiggins is Wiggins. But they need those. If you're like, what do the Warriors need? Well, they need a second star also. I know I said it yesterday on the afternoon show. Tolbert and Copes filling in with Dieter Kurtenbach, and not new to the Dubs OT audience, but I basically laid it out. Only way the Warriors can be contenders next year is if Kuminga turns into a superstar, all-star, superstar pending next year, or if they trade Kuminga to be that guy. And I don't think they want to trade Kuminga to be that guy. So in some ways, they're a little bit stuck, Greg. And I think tonight is another one of these nights against a good team where they feel a little stuck. Land of the Hella, though. Kuminga gets a solid pull-up jumper, and he's destroying the league. That's a start. That'd be a start. Down that path. Andis Brown, again, another great comment. I think a lot of players don't respect Dre as much. Dre used to just punk everybody, but look who stood up to him this season. Mitchell, Aldama last game. Gobert will get at him a little bit. Nurkic kind of getting in his kitchen, not knowing what the heck he's going to do. Like there are people who now I think Draymond's the dude. Like, think about it. If you were playing against Draymond and Draymond was owning your ass for a decade, he would be and talking a bunch of ish on top of it. Like, he would be the dude that you'd want to punk and take advantage of now that the Warriors ain't the Warriors necessarily anymore. So all of that's good. Yeah. So I think that's all part of the conversation. Rebel to Sound. Steph got to set the tone from the start. Enrique Rivera said somebody got to give JD a beer. Well, JD did get one more. So yes, checkmate there from Enrique Rivera. And Mickey D said, have another one on me. This one's going on Mickey D's tab. Somebody said I'm drinking too much mono, saying JD drinking too much rainwater. I think that was when I was going on my little nobody wants to talk about Kuminga or Moody or anybody else being bad. Joe H, CP3's been totally solid. He has been. Like, CP3 has not been the dude who's been killing this team this year. Hannah M, fair question. Why CP3 trigger, though? That's a fair question, Hannah. That is a absolutely fair question. Like CP3 is – here's the thing. And we all knew it and used to laugh at it. CP3's always got beef with the officials. And we used to laugh at it because 90% of the time it was when the Warriors were getting over on his teams and he was complaining about the officials. And we'd all be laughing at him like, CP3 whining about not getting another ring or any rings. So, yeah, it's a little different. Regulator. Tony Brothers was all over Regulator. Tony Brothers did an interview about him being judge and jury. We played that for you. Pretty funny stuff. I like Chris Paul. Yeah, I said it. I absolutely said it. All right. Let's get to fun with numbers here real quick before we call it a night. Have we played the thing already, Greg?
This is Dubs
No, we
OT
haven't.
with JD. Time now for fun
I'm a fun guy.
with numbers
No, I'm just having fun.
on KNBR 104.5 and 680. Streaming live on KNBR.com and the KNBR app.
All right, Warriors are 1-2 at home on this homestand. Unacceptable. 18-19, even more unacceptable as we get into fun with numbers. They split the season series with the Pacers after they split the season series with the Knicks. With the Knicks and Pacers both winning at Chase and the Warriors both beating those teams in February on the road. And Fitz had the nugget of the night right as we played the final call from NBC Sports Bay Area. Pacers are 5-0 at Chase. Who knew? But the Pacers are the only team that is undefeated against the Warriors at Chase Center in its history. They've played a game at Chase in each of the first 5 seasons, going back to pre-COVID, and then empty building with COVID. Won that one, beat the Warriors in the title year, also last year, and 2024 for the quintuple victory for the Pacers. Odd, but true. I looked at this number before the game. Who else has dominated, Greg, at Chase in the regular season? Can you name? I've got a little bit of a mini trivia. Pacers are now 5-0. Name the next 4 teams in terms of winning percentage at Chase, regular season only. Because some of these get a little skewed, and that's your hint. Some of these get a little skewed if you add in the postseason.
Okay.
Skoo-doo.
Are we talking? No, I still feel like the Kings wouldn't be on that list. Lakers?
Nope.
Nuggets?
The Nuggets are 6-2 in the regular season at Chase, but 0-3 in the playoffs.
Ah, okay. There you go.
So, but the Nuggets do have a .750 winning percentage at Chase. 6-2 in 8 regular season games at Chase Center. They are on the list among the next 4
Minnesota?
highest winning percentages. No Minnesota.
I see one of our commenters has Houston.
No, the Warriors haven't lost to Houston since before COVID.
Okay,
So
yeah.
no, the Rockets have only won once at Chase Center, and they've lost every other time they've played there.
Man, it's all blending together. I see.
Wow.
What about Dallas? Yeah, I like that from Joe H.
Ding, 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 ding. Dallas, 5-2 in the regular season, 0-3 in the playoffs. So like Denver, they've got a 6-2 heater and then a 5-2 heater, but 0-3 in the playoffs going back to 2022. There's a theme here.
Boston?
There's a theme. Boston won the first 4 games they ever played at Chase Center, including game 1 of the 22 finals, and they've lost every game since. 4 straight. Boston now 4-4, but 3-2 in the regular season, a .600 winning percentage. They are on the list. There is one other team. So we have Indiana 5-0. We have Denver 6-2, but 3 L's in the playoffs. Dallas 5-2, 3 L's in the playoffs. Boston 3-2, 1-2 in the finals. There's one team that has not quite dominated the Warriors to the level of Indiana, but has dominated the Warriors at Chase in the regular season.
And I see you said no to Minnesota. What about the Clippers?
It is not the Clippers.
All right, tell me.
The New York Knicks, 4-1, including this week at Chase Center. The New York Knicks, an .800 winning percentage. They are number 2. It goes Indiana 5-0. Knicks 4-1, Denver 6-2, Dallas 5-2 regular season, Boston 3-2. Those are the 5 teams that have the highest winning percentage in the regular season against the Warriors at Chase Center. But Indiana is the only one, king of the mountain, top of the hill. The Indiana Pacers, random because they have not been good or great or anything close over.
But you know what? That was fun. That was fun. Fun with numbers. So good job. You made a disgusting game fun.
And that's all I got. for Greg and Raph and Austin Scott and everybody in the YouTube chat. Couple of quick text messages to get to. JD, Dubs can't get their act together, defending home court once again. Yep, no doubt. We'll get to the rest of those texts tomorrow, 10 a.m. It's Dubs OT with JD. Tomorrow's just Dubs, but it's 10 till noon. Join us on YouTube, Twitch, and the stream. Greg, have a great night. Quick turnaround. It's KNBR 104.5 and 680, the sports leader.
3-point three. Haliburton, high arcing three, and he did it again. He did it again. I shouldn't have said that.
No, God! No, God, please, no! No!
We got Steph Curry.
Honestly, who cares what seed you are if you play like we did tonight? 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, whatever it is, doesn't matter. You're not going to get very far. So
That is over. Over. Done. Not happening.
Rage! I hate it!
The only flow that's going is down a toilet.
A lot of games have stung this year. We've had a lot of heartbreaking losses.